Hi there, I'm eating cinnamon toast because I made cinnamon sugar for this recipe, so I always have to have cinnamon toast, so don't mind me. Remember the apple butter we made? And that homemade pumpkin puree? I'm gonna put these two together into a pumpkin and cream cheese bread. Now this recipe is from the mind of Tieghon over at Half Baked Harvest, and I'm gonna put a link to her because if you haven't seen her, she's quite brilliant and talented lady. And this recipe calls for 2 breads, but I only have 1 bread pan, so I thought I'd just make it more like a coffee cake, I guess, if you will, into my big pan here. So that's what we're going to do, and along the way I'll just show you how I'm differing from what she did. I'm going to get some butter on my pan, and I think this is going to come together really fast. I've got my oven on 350. So this was that apple butter that we made. It is so delicious. It smells so amazing. So I'm going to do 1 cup of apple butter and 1 cup pumpkin puree. This is the sugar pumpkins, not the Cherokee tan, but it's still just as beautiful, isn't it? 3/4 of a cup of melted butter, 1/2 cup pure maple syrup, and a whole tablespoon of vanilla. I might have to descant some more vanilla. This is getting low. So a whole tablespoon of vanilla, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we're gonna get this nice and mixed up. Now the one thing I changed in here was the butter. She called for coconut oil, but I went with butter. I didn't have any coconut oil. And to this, I'm going to add 3 cups of cake flour. She calls for all-purpose, but I'm changing it up to cake flour, and that's going to give it a lighter crumb, which I think is going to be perfect, making this more like a tea cake or a coffee bread kind of thing. And to my 3 cups of flour, I have 3 teaspoons of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And then we are going to add some, there it is, some pumpkin pie spice. How much pumpkin pie spice? I need 2 teaspoons. 2. So obviously this is the first time that I've made this, but I saw this on her website and said, I have all those things. I just made the pumpkin and the pumpkin butter, so it seemed like the perfect time to make this. And then we're going to mix that all together. And so I just want to go cover my bottom with about 1/2 of this, spread that out. And then she calls for an 8-ounce block of cream cheese melted. So what I did was just a little makeshift double boiler here and got this cream cheese nice and warm. And I'm just going to plop this all around, and I thought this might be a perfect tool for that, and it's nice and soft. So obviously if you were doing the 2 breads, you would just do 1/2 of your cream cheese in one pan and 1/2 in the other. And now we need a knife, and we're going to take our knife and just swirl this. And then her recipe calls for 1/2 cup of cinnamon sugar. I made a whole cup. I'm not going to use it for this just because I want to make cinnamon toast because I made cinnamon sugar. So I'm just going to kind of liberally just cover this with cinnamon sugar. The rest of our batter, I think I want to move to a spatula so I can get all of this. And I'm just going to work my way down. And then she says on the breads that it's okay if some cream cheese pokes up through. So I'm just gonna spread this around. And I think this is gonna be a really nice coffee cake doing it like this. I'm gonna cover the top with more of that cinnamon sugar. Pop this in the oven, and I believe she called for 40 minutes. I can't really remember, but I'm gonna check after 30 because we've got a much shallower thing going on here than a deep bread thing. So I am going to check in 30 minutes, see how we're doing. 30 minutes are up, so we're gonna have a peek here and see. Smells good. Oh yeah, that looks like it's coming out. I don't have my glasses nice and clean and dry. Oh, I'm gonna call her done. I'm gonna call her done at 30 minutes. And now, you just gotta wait to taste it. I hate that part. But I'm gonna give it a couple minutes just to settle in, and then we'll be back for a taste test. So for the flipperoonie, cinnamon's gonna go everywhere. And now we flipperoonie again. Well, cinnamon didn't go too bad. All right, there we go. Ta-da! All right, it's really warm, but I still want to bite. Now she calls for honey butter. Look at that inside. See the cream cheese? Yummy. She calls for honey butter, so I made a little honey butter because I think this was a great idea of hers, so we should follow along. Wonder how it looks in there. I think about when you cook like cookies or cakes or bread with pumpkin, I always think they have that real mushy kind of texture. But it is done. Delicious. It's really good. It is a nice blend of everything. There's not one thing that's really overpowering. It's not overpowering pumpkin or overpowering cinnamon. Really good. Really well balanced. I don't know if you can hear or see the rain. I'm thinking this is perfect for a rainy day. Thank you, Half Baked Harvest, for your wonderful, wonderful idea. We love it. I love it. And I hope everybody makes it. Drop me a comment. Tell me if you make it. Just say hi. I always like to hear from you. Until I see you again. Safe cruising.